these tools and systems in and out just to help your agents. You guys do an amazing job. So congratulations to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Are you talking, Kelly? Okay. Um, so the group that's mainly on here,
Mhm.
there are Gretchen's here, I see. Bree's here, I see. Those guys are agents, and everybody else is like someone who's managing the dashboard. So,
Okay.
because we're really trying to focus on helping our agents get more return surveys because we have the satisfaction rating to win for everybody to win the quality service award. What we
Sure.
don't have are enough return surveys. So we've been really focused on this like the past couple of months. How do we go in and eliminate duplicates, and how do we go in and resend, and what are the best practices to actually get them completed by the consumer? And so we just want to learn all the ways we can manage that dashboard to
Okay.
better get more surveys turned back into us. Because, like I said, I mean, we had probably 15 agents win the QSS award, but so many have the scores. It's just the return surveys.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. That's great. No, I'm glad that we have this time to talk about it. And what better way or the time of the year than mid-year, right? Like mid-year is when, which I can't believe we're already at mid-year, but I know Lori and we're getting ready for the Pacesetter Awards for mid-year. And but it's a good timing of the year to kind of like, stop for a moment, reset yourself, reflect on what's been going on since January up until this point, and then looking to see what you need to adjust for yourselves, right? Checking in on your goals. How are you tracking towards your goals? And then resetting yourself and redirecting if you need to for the remainder of the year. So
Yes.
I thank you for this opportunity, Dana. And again, like I mentioned, that I really appreciate your leadership and your office's leadership, because again, a company so big as yours, genuinely caring for the success and productivity of your agents, and of course just that takes learning the system, learning the tools, and understanding it better so that way they can successfully use it. So thank you so much. So I'm going to share my screen, and I apologize if some of this is going to be repetitive, but maybe it's a good point to be repetitive, to kind of like again refresh ourselves with understanding the system and how it works, because that's how you'll be successful, is again understanding how it works from the beginning to the end. So if
Yeah.
you could just confirm that my screen is okay.
I do see your screen.
Okay.
I want to say this one thing too,
Sure.
and this will be a great starting point for everybody because Lynn, I thank you for trying to log in and sharing your screen and getting blocked. Before you hopped on, Lynn was logging into her screen. She wants to follow along with what you're doing on Real Satisfied, and it
Okay.
didn't populate. It looked like it was just buffering when she clicked on Real Satisfied. This has
Oh,
happened to other people, and it is
okay.
simply a matter of pop-ups being blocked on your computer. So I'm just telling all of our Atwood guys that are here, that's how Lynn and I were able to unblock her screen, and then the Real Satisfied screen popped up right away. So if anybody, an agent or as the admin or the manager that's owning it, if you're trying to get in and you click on Real Satisfied and you see a blank white screen, it's because there's a pop-up blocked, most likely. So problem number one, check. Thank you, Lynn.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Another thing too that I'll get an email here and there, maybe about once a week. Somebody's trying to get in and it gets stuck on the loading. Sometimes you have to log off of 21 Online. You got to clear your cookies and your caches, and that way, and then relog into 21 Online to kind of clear that. So I know if I know we don't log off so often, right? Because once we're logged in and we keep going, but sometimes the system needs to kind of refresh it and clear that history.
Mhm.
So that's another pointer too, because that's something that I get on our inboxes for questions and things like that. So
That is
yeah,
a
but
good
thanks for
point
sharing
too.
that. Mhm.
And just speaking of questions, and then I'll be quiet. When you guys email QSS, like, because I'm like, oh, email the QSS inbox. Lexi is the person. It's not
I'm
just
here.
an inbox. She's actually the person that's going to respond to you. I mean, it is a QSS email, but you will be communicating with Leslie, and she is such an expert at this. So that's who is on the other end of your emails.
Yes, yes, it's a pleasure to see you guys, some of you guys, and put some names together. I do recognize a few names here from emails that I've received. So thank you for the communication, and again, thank you, Dana, for this opportunity. So let's get started on giving an overview of Real Satisfied. Again, just understanding why it's so important and crucial to the success of your agents and of your as your office. Again, quality service being that specific award designation that we have, or that award program that we have, that's consumer friendly, right? It's consumer understood. They know what quality service is about in any industry. And this is one of the most sought after award in our system to gain the quality service, right? So a lot of agents don't focus on so much the production based awards like the Ruby Awards, or the Emerald and Diamond or Centurion even. They want the quality service. So it's very important. They understand that, consumer feedback is crucial, especially in our business, right? Consumers are constantly on their phones, they're on their computers, they're doing their research, they are looking at those ratings and stars, and they're looking at testimonials of what other people have said for that agent or for that office. So it's very important that we understand the reason why. That's the why, right? We want to grow our production and hopefully obtain a quality service award by the end of the year. We love working with Real Satisfied. We've been working with them, just to give you a little history, since 2015, where we partnered up with Real Satisfied because of their capability and the friendliness of their dashboard. We also appreciated that within 24 hours of Dash feeding into Real Satisfied with closed transaction information, they were able to shoot out that email instantaneously. Previous to Real Satisfied, we had to wait a whole week. So a week to 24 hours is a big improvement. I'm also happy to share, just again, working in the awards department for as long as I have been working with them, it's been an amazing experience witnessing the growth of award winners that we have in our system, and especially with quality service. We thought that it would be impacted because we changed from one vendor to another. Again, giving you a little bit more history, our previous vendor had 5 questions. This vendor has 40 questions. So I'll get from time to time and say, Lexi, the survey is just too long. And you know what I'll say? I'll say, I agree with you. The survey is long, but the value of the information and that feedback that you get back as an agent, as an office, you're able to see where you excel. You're able to see where you have areas of opportunity of improvement. That's what we want to do. We want to grade ourselves because we can only do better by monitoring our performance. So we love the idea and we love the tool that Real Satisfied has to set us up with that. So that's just a little background on that. Another thing too, as leaders and as agents, and as a Century 21 family member, we live and we strive through our mission, right? We have to ask ourselves, how are we going to define mediocrity today, and how are we going to deliver extraordinary experiences? That's your mindset for every time that you're going to be in front of a consumer. You want to make sure that you're listening to their needs and to their wants, and then kind of imagining it and processing it in your mind and saying, okay, I'm going to do better than X person down the road, and this is the way I'm going to do it. So making sure that your mind is focused on what our mission truly is. And then also another fun fact here that I like to share is that agents who focus on making sure surveys are going out, not only going out, but being returned and completed, they are found to have made 151% more commission. They have grown their production because of obtaining that quality service award. So that in itself should be big motivation to say, you know what, I'm going to aim myself. I'm going to focus on making sure that the rest of this year, I'm sending out a survey for each of my sellers, buyers, and even your tenants or your landlords. If you work with tenants and landlords, those surveys also count for the quality service awards program. I also like to bring up Brilliant Basics. If this is an area you haven't visited or you haven't seen it in a while, go on to 21 Online on the main homepage, search in, put in the search box, Brilliant Basics. It's going to take you to a page where you're going to listen to other affiliate members explain and share how they deliver each of these basics. Sometimes we need these little reminders, these little guidelines, I should say, to reset ourselves and make sure that every time that we're in front of a customer, this is what I'm going to be focused on. I'm going to be focused on being transparent. I'm going to let them know everything that they are to expect step by step, making sure that you're that leader. You want to establish that that trust from the beginning and throughout that real estate experience with that consumer all the way to the end. And I can't say guarantee, but I can almost make sure that if you deliver on these basics and you walk with them step by step and you create memorable moments throughout their experience, they're going to want to fill out that customer service for you. They're going to want to fill out that survey. They're going to want to actually take an extra few more minutes and write out and type out a testimonial. And it's wonderful to see. I know I've seen a bunch of agents, real satisfied testimonials posted on Facebook or on Instagram. And I love it because they're taking that pride that they have, that their customer took the time to rate them and to share those wonderful words about them. So again, Brilliant Basics, just to help you refresh, give you some more motivation, even inspiration, to continue on to your day-to-day and to continue to work towards your goal by the end of the year. I also want to make sure that everyone was aware. I don't know if you cater to a lot of Hispanic community members, but if you are working with Hispanic consumer, just know that the survey is available in Spanish. That was an area that we had missed a few years, where we weren't obtaining that feedback from our Latino consumers, because as we know, and what we've learned from research and from analysis, is that the Hispanic home ownership rate is continuously growing year after year and over year. And we certainly want to make sure that we are tapping into them and making sure that we are also obtaining their feedback and their surveys and testimonials. So just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that it is available in Spanish. Should you be working with a Hispanic or Latino consumer, it is available in their language. So the way that the program works is by first making sure that Dash transactions are closed. There was an instant where an agent was concerned that surveys were not going out, and upon researching, we found that the actual transaction was still in pending status in one of the systems and had not been reported as closed, and that's why it didn't automate a survey. So making sure that that the transactions have to first be closed in Dash in order for a survey to be sent out in 24 hours later. I also want to make sure that agents, making sure that you're giving that information over to your data entry team so that way they can process it and enter it correctly into Dash. If for some reason you miss giving or providing an email address, that's okay, because in Real Satisfied you can enter it and send it, so that's no problem either. What we love about Real Satisfied as well is that once that Dash information transfers over, the closed information 24 hours later into their system, the agent gets notifications. You get notifications letting you know that a survey was successfully sent, if a survey was bounced. Again, we're human. We may have mistyped something, or maybe that email address is no longer in service. But it lets you know, it notifies you to let you know the status of that survey. And of course, it'll also let you know if a survey is completed, and if it's with the testimonial, it'll let you know you need to go in and approve it. So again, we love those notifications, those reminders from the system. And for those of you who are office leaders, depending on how your profile is set up in Real Satisfied, you too would also get these notifications. You would, also get these notifications so you could help your agent as well, maybe follow up with them, check in with them. If it was something that was bounced, maybe you can offer to say, hey, this was bounced. Do you have an updated email address? And they can provide it to you right then and there, and you can update it into the system. But again, love how this system and this platform works with those notifications. Also, as agents, I know we are inundated with emails coming in, text messages coming in, and sometimes our phones just drive us crazy, right? But hopefully you're able to. My recommendation is to set some time in your calendar. I don't know if that's in the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, in the middle of the month, whatever works for you. Set aside 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes, depending. Put it into your calendar, put it as a meeting invite, put it as a reminder. So that way you're taking that time and you're going into your Real Satisfied dashboard and taking care of any action items. You're also reviewing to see who hasn't, returned a survey. You know your clients, you know which ones are going to absolutely take that time to complete it for you. And they wouldn't mind hearing from you or even having a reminder from you. So you want to make sure that you're taking and allotting some time throughout the year. Do not wait till the end of the year to try to resend something that closed from the beginning of the year. You want to stay as true to time with these surveys, because as we know, time affects everything, right? We know our memories start going, the excitement of the consumers are like, okay, I'm in this house, I'm excited, and they have a bunch of stuff to do, to make sure that they're settled in, and the survey's not going to be on top of their mind at that time, right? They're going to be focused on what they need to do. So timing is absolutely everything. But yeah, again, the accountability you put on yourself, making sure you put reminders on there, and of course your office leaders are there to complement that and to help you as needed. So the information that feeds from Dash into Real Satisfied, it then feeds over to our Quality Service Survey Awards dashboard. And that dashboard is meant for tracking and visual purposes only. There's no action items that are taken there, but there you're able to review surveys and their statuses and see how you're tracking on meeting the minimum requirements for the award. And I'll focus a little bit more on that on the dashboard later on, but just wanted to talk generally about that. Again, accessing the two dashboards that I mentioned is through 21 Online. It is through single sign-on, as most of our tools and systems are. That way you don't have to remember another login for a separate platform. So when you go to 21 Online, you go to menu, you go to Productivity Hub. I like to go to awards and rankings, and then there just focus on those two dashboards. Again, the Quality Service Survey Awards dashboard is meant for tracking purposes only, to see how you're doing on meeting the minimum requirements for the award. Then the Real Satisfied /QSS is where you actually go to perform any action items, download a PDF of your completed survey, approve your testimonials. That's where you all go onto that platform. So as Dana mentioned, actually I mentioned to Dana, and this is the reason why we're here today, is to kind of like go over what Real Satisfied is as a program and as a whole, but also, for the agents especially, you guys have a refreshed and renewed profile page. And it's very exciting. It's something that they launched, Real Satisfied launched, I believe at the end of March. So if you haven't visited your Real Satisfied dashboard lately, take the time to do so, get familiar with the new setup. Everything is very clearly labeled. What I love about, this refreshed look is this profile page. So if you share the Real Satisfied URL, let's say you put it on your email signature, or you put it into your bio of your profile in one of your social media platforms, it's a link that will take your consumer to this page. It'll give them your basic information. It'll give them a little story about you, depending, whatever it is that you want written there. It'll let them know how your ratings are, read testimonials as well. And you, as the agent, are able to customize this page in many different ways. One of the ways is, again, your picture. Your picture's fed from Dash, but let's just say you just got an updated one, and you want to go ahead and display it and update this page, you can more than welcome to do so. If you want to change your name, for me, my full name is actually Alexandra. I go by Lexi. So in Dash, it would have Alexandra. And if I want this to be known as Lexi, I could go in there, customize it, and change it to Lexi. You're also able to update and upload your background picture. It reminds me of how Facebook works, right? In Facebook, you're able to customize these different areas and add in information. It's just like that too. Again, I love that it's like a one-stop shop for your consumer. If they have your email and they're given this URL, they're taken here. Another area that Real Satisfied has improved on is the ability for you to add all of your social media URLs here. I do have to clarify, this is just for your consumer to access these other platforms, to kind of review your profile in those other platforms. It is not necessarily where your testimonials are all fed to. I'll review that momentarily, that because that's separately. But this is basically for your consumer who's looking at your Real Satisfied profile to be able to click onto Facebook or onto Twitter and kind of take another look and perspective of you, right? To get to know you better. So I love that they added this area as well. As I mentioned, you want to make sure that you're visiting your new profile display, your dashboard, that you're reviewing your settings, making sure that you have your display, your ratings turned on. You don't want them off. You want to make sure that you're showing off your ratings and your raving reviews. So you want to make sure that these buttons are turned on for you. Another way is another thing that they offer through the dashboard is easily identifying and filtering different statuses of your surveys. If you want to see what's completed, what's under review, what may be quarantine, and I'll explain what quarantine is in a little bit, and addressing anything that was bounced or undeliverable. This is where you take those action items and review that information. Again, most importantly, once you get that completed survey, and hopefully it's with a written testimonial, you have to take the action. As agents, you have to take the action and go in and review your testimonial and ultimately approve it. Again, everything is step by step, clearly stated within the platform as to what it is that you need to do. You're able to customize the color that you want this JPEG or image to appear on your social media platforms. You can select that. You can select which ones you don't want to display for one reason or another. You again, step-by-step instructions on this platform. Once you approve your testimonial, it'll automatically syndicate to century21.com. And then if you are set up with realtor.com, you have to make sure that your NRDS number is in your profile. It'll also syndicate there. It'll also syndicate to your Facebook business page. It'll go ahead and do that. Now, I always get questions to say, well, Lexi, can I syndicate my testimonials to Zillow or to Google Plus? And unfortunately, those other platforms do not allow Real Satisfied to syndicate directly their testimonials. However, Real Satisfied offers a way to do what they call encourage reviews. It is one extra step that your customer would have to take in order for their testimonial to be posted on Zillow and on Google Plus or whichever other platform it is that you have set up. But these are the ones that would require an extra step. So again, taking the time, revisit your updated Real Satisfied dashboard, look at your profile settings, and set yourself up, especially if you have a Google Plus account or a Zillow account. You want to keep adding on to those testimonials. You don't want to, for lack of a better word, annoy your customer by sending multiple requests. It's simply if they complete one through Real Satisfied and they have a testimonial on it, and if you are set up with encourage reviews in your profile, it simply sends one link to your customer, just basically asking for approval to copy and paste what they already wrote in their Real Satisfied testimonial area to be included in Zillow and in Google Plus or whichever other platform it is that you chose. So again, you just have to make sure that you take the time to set yourself up with this information. It's very, again, easy to follow, step-by-step instructions. This one's is an example of how to set up your Google Plus one. You click on it, and you want to make sure that you're following step by step and providing the information that it's asking you for. And it's a one-time thing that you have to do to set it up. You don't have to keep setting it up every time. So once it's set up, then you'll be able to see an area where it'll ask you, do you want to do encourage review? You click yes. It copies and pastes and sends that URL directly to your consumer, and it's a done deal. You don't have to do anything else. And these again are just screenshots of how it is, but each one for Zillow, for Facebook, for Google Plus, it's a pop-up box. Follow the instructions and you're set up. Now, for our office leaders, things that you would also want to make sure that you're being accountable for, is observing and maintaining and following along the progress of your agents. You want to make sure that you are also setting up yourself some time within your calendars to go in. It could be on a weekly basis, it could be on a bi-weekly basis, whatever that schedule it is that you set yourself up for. Schedule it into your calendar, get that reminder set up for yourself. And what you want to do is you want to review in your dashboards what's pending. What surveys are out there that don't have an email address. You can type them up into an email, send it to your agent and say, hey, I want to help you. Did you notice that we don't have email addresses for these particular customers? The same thing, bounce statuses. Again, it could be a simple typo, or it could be that email address no longer is in service. Take the action item, go back to your agent and say, I'm working on, clarifying these and rectifying these. Can you give me this information? Quarantine status. And I get a lot of questions on quarantine status, and a lot of people think it's a big negative thing. It's not negative. It's not negative. Although we don't want to see something red or something with a stamp that has, letter writing in red. This is not a negative scenario. There's different flags within the system that causes a survey to be quarantined. One of the main reasons, or one of a common scenario that I see, is when there's a repeat customer. Are we saying that you can't repeatedly ask for a survey from that customer? Absolutely not. You can absolutely survey them as many times as you want, as long as they have, those different transactions and different properties going on into the system. It's just that the system simply does not record or whitelist these email addresses. So they have to make sure that the customer is the correct customer, a correct email address for that particular property address. It does require for an extra step for the agent to take, or the office if you like to take that responsibility. You would look for these quarantined icons within your dashboards. You would select it, then you would select request review. And that will open a ticket with Real Satisfied to review that particular survey. They'll email you back their findings. If it's a repeat customer, all you simply have to say is, this is a repeat customer of mine. Please release the survey. They'll go ahead and release it. Now, another common scenario that I've seen is if an agent provides their own email address to obtain a copy of that survey so that they can forward it on to their customer. It's great that you're forwarding it on because you want that, one-on-one touch with your customer. But unfortunately, what it does, it creates a gray area where Real Satisfied has to, is able to identify that email address, the original email address, is someone that's registered within our system. So it does become a little bit more difficult to try to, get that released. But that's why I say avoid that at all possible means. Do not provide your own personal email address, or especially an email address that's registered within our system, because that one's just a little bit more harder to have them release for you. But again, it shouldn't be seen as a negative impact. It certainly isn't. It just needs extra attention to it. And once you address it, it'll be addressed and released, and it'll be approved and added onto your quality service numbers. I'm going to take a quick pause there because I know I've shared a lot of information. I still have a few more things to share, but wanted to stop right now to see if there's any questions or if there's anything you want me to kind of repeat. I'm more than happy to take that right now.
So, quick question about Dash.
Sure.
We use Account Tech, which then feeds Dash, and sometimes things don't always go through properly. So I just logged into our Dash, and I see one that's in pending status in Dash, but it's been closed out in Account Tech.
Okay.
How do I fix that?
That's a great scenario. So what I would do is I would go to the source first. So I would check with Account Tech to ensure that the data feed to Dash was successfully sent first.
Okay. Ooh, I have a pen.
And Dana, correct me if I'm wrong, because I believe that was something that happened in the past as well.
Yes. So there are random fluke things that sometimes happen between Account Tech and Dash why something doesn't get closed properly, submitted properly, and push-pull. And you're right, it starts with account tech then, to say, hey, why didn't this push over to Dash and close the transaction? Kelly, what agent was the transaction?
It's actually one of Bree's closings. It closed and I paid out at least a few weeks ago.
May 5th is when it closed.
May 5th, so it's been
Oh, wow.
almost a month.
Is that Lincoln one?
Lincoln?
It was
Lumber Street.
I was just asking because we've seen it happen where if an agent had a pending transaction and then they left and went to another brokerage where it didn't push over to Dash, but you can just send account tech an email to their support ticket and say, hey, here's the transaction. It was closed in account tech on May 5th. It did not push over to Dash. Can you help us with this? And they will have to just fix it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'll continue on, and actually I'm going to address something as well, because I don't know if a manual survey was created for that missing transaction, but I'll go over what the to-dos are for that. So for REO transactions, so if your agent works with, repeat investors, banks, Fannie Mae's and things like that, we know, especially if they work multiple transactions throughout the year with that particular customer, they're not going to take the opportunity to fill out a survey each and every time. So in that scenario, we are more than happy to remove them from their QSS awards counts. That way it doesn't weigh down their return rate or their send rate. We certainly don't want that to happen to them. So for that scenario, we do ask that you reach out to us first. Let us know that you have these multiple investors that you'd like to have removed. And once we get your email, I send you a template. You simply fill it out with the agent's name, the property address, and the customer's name, and I'll go ahead and remove it from the Quality Service Awards dashboard only. I can't remove them from Real Satisfied because if I remove them within a certain time frame, it'll repeat and duplicate itself, and we don't want that. We want to avoid duplications, because again, that can also impact the Quality Service Award numbers for your agent and for your office. So we certainly want to avoid that. But if you do have that, another scenario where we are more than happy to remove surveys is, let's just say if you have a senior customer, someone who doesn't have an email address or does not is not tech savvy and does not have anybody else around them to assist them with that, we're more than happy also to remove that from that. Also, personal properties for agents. So as part of our policy is, unfortunately, active Century 21 system members cannot survey themselves, nor should they be surveying other Century 21 active system members. Again, because it falls into that gray area, there may be some bias, and we just want to avoid that. So we also are more than happy to remove those from your Quality Service Award number so it doesn't impact the scoring. So you would simply just send us an email at c21.qss@century21.com, and I will send you the template, or whatever your question is. I'm more than happy to answer it through that email and assist you. There are some eligible and ineligible transaction types. Most residential transactions are eligible for a survey. It depends on their property code, and I'll share a flyer regarding that information on the next slide. But then rentals, if you work with tenants and landlords, you are able to send a survey manually, and that would be the office administrator, because unfortunately agents by default do not have access to create their own surveys. But if there's a landlord or a tenant that you'd like to survey, the office administrator can create one manually, or you can send us an email and we'll create it on your behalf. That's no problem either. Ineligible transactions include commercial type transactions, just because the questions that we ask on the survey does not pertain to those type of transactions. So we do not survey them And then, if you worked with Cardis or Affinity Partner, we also you do not survey them because they have their own survey program. As I mentioned, there are certain property codes or types that are eligible and some that are ineligible. For you office leaders, this would be a great handy resource to either print and have around your desk area. So in case a agent comes and asks and says, hey, I didn't see a survey go out for this particular transaction or this property, you can first refer to this list to just make sure that, first of all, that it was eligible. And if it wasn't eligible, then that would be the answer. So if it's, something that was, I don't know, a land multi-family acreage, that one I see most popular. It doesn't get a survey because, again, it's one of those ineligible property types. But again, a handy resource just to have printed around your desk, so that way you can refer to it. You can find this flyer along with so many other flyers that I'm going to talk about in the next few slides on 21 Online. You go to menu, you go to work with clients, and then you go to Real Satisfied / quality service. And in the documents area, you'll be able to find this flyer. Now, some of the best practices, especially for an agent, I hope that throughout the experience that you have with your consumer, that at the closing time, that hopefully that's not the first time that you talk to your client to let them know how important feedback is to you. Hopefully throughout the entire experience, you are putting in the seeds about how important that feedback is, once the survey comes regarding a certain, area, maybe it's the marketing of their property or things like that, that you hopefully excelled in, that they're going to remember that and put that into their feedback at the end when they receive the survey. So making sure that you as the agent, again, are being candid, are being transparent, that you're going to be grateful, for their feedback, letting them know how important it is for you to obtain that, because it'll help you grow your business, and you would, prefer referrals and appreciate those referrals, and continue to work with them hopefully in the future as well. And also being candid that once they receive the survey, it's going to take them a few minutes to complete it. It could take them 2 to 3 minutes, even 4 minutes, depending on their how quickly they can read the questions and things like that. But again, you being transparent, letting them know, hey, this is a 40-question survey. Again, I appreciate your 2 to 3 minutes that you're going to take to fill this out for me. The more that they know about it, the less surprised they are when they receive it. And the more open they're going to be, because they already know what to expect once they click on that survey link. So something else to help you remind them about that survey and how important that feedback is to you are these closing flyers. We recommend that you can print these, have a few copies, put them into closing folders if you give folders with information out to your customers. And it's a good visual, and it's a good reminder to them as to what to expect, who to expect the email from, and what the email actually will ask them for. It's all kind of explained on these closing flyers, and we have them in English and we also have them in Spanish. Again, these are all available in that document section that I just mentioned under Work with Clients, Real Satisfied / quality service on 21 Online. There's also a FAQ for most common scenarios. If there's a question there, the answer will be there. But as always, you're free to reach out through email. We've also added in the suite of documents that we have for Real Satisfied, step-by-step on how to connect your Real Satisfied testimonials onto your Moxie page. So we have that step-by-step flyer there as well. Another important aspect of the program is understanding the Quality Service Awards criteria. As Dana mentioned earlier in the call, you guys have the scores. You have the scores, but for one reason or another, there's a reason why the award wasn't given. And I think it's the return rate where we want to improve on, all across the board. So just understanding the criteria is important. Just so you know, 80% of all the transactions that you close from January 1st through December 31st of this year has to have a survey successfully sent to them. 50% of them have to be returned. So anyone who closed a transaction with you in 2023 has until January 3rd, 2024 to complete that survey. Again, you can go into your Real Satisfied dashboard at any time throughout the year and resend surveys as many times as you want to your client. Now, the only thing I like to recommend is, again, to try to avoid annoying that customer, Be candid with them, reach out to them, check in on how they're doing. And if they haven't returned the survey, just say, hey, just a friendly reminder, I'm going to resend you another survey link. Please take a few minutes to fill it out. It's so important to me. But again, it's that communication piece, and it's also takes you making sure that you are taking the time to check your dashboards. Again, not at the end of the year, but setting some time throughout, your day or throughout the month to go in and review that information. Your score also has to be 90% or above, and we measure that for all surveys coming in completed from January 1st through January 3rd of 2024. And in addition, if you're an individual producer, you have to have 8 minimum return surveys. If you're a team, no matter what size team, you have to have 12. And as an office, you have to have 30 minimum return surveys. And the way you can check that information is by looking at your Quality Service Survey Awards dashboard. Again, as I had mentioned earlier, this is serving as a visual purpose only for you to track on how you're meeting the requirements. And once you do that, hopefully you have all green bars everywhere, at least to give you an idea as to how you're tracking towards the award. Now, I do have to say, this won't confirm that you are an award recipient. It's simply meant to help you track your information and see how you're doing by the end of the year. And as I mentioned, if you have duplicate surveys or missing surveys, for our leaders on the call, this is the things that you need to be aware of. If there's duplicates in Real Satisfied, do not delete them. Do not delete them. Just reach out to us. We'll review them and see what's going on there. Sometimes I think what I've seen in the past is that a manual survey has been sent for a survey that's missing, and again, it kind of falls into that scenario where Account Tech has it closed, but Dash does not have it closed. But then when Dash gets rectified and it gets updated, it'll send out an automatic survey when a manual survey has already been sent and created. So it sends another survey to your customer, which may get them confused because they already completed one. So we want to avoid manually sending anything. Send us an email first so that we can look and make sure that, first of all, the system is updated and running. Second is to make sure that Dash is updated. And for the most common scenarios, I think Dash and the Account Tech disconnect may be the issue. But then that would alert me to let you know to check with Account Tech to get that rectified. And then know that once it's rectified and it's updated in Dash, then 24 hours later, after it's closed, that survey is going to automate. So again, this is another opportunity where the agent can also be accountable by checking their dashboards and keeping track of those surveys that have gone out and those that are not even appearing. The more that you check into and you look into your dashboard in a timely manner, things can be addressed also in a timely manner. Duplicates on the Quality Service Awards dashboard, send us an email. We'll review them. We'll remove the ones that are duplicated, no problem. And then again, the missing information, do not send them manually. Let us know about it, and then we can look into the information and see where the disconnect is. Again, always happy to help you with anything. When you receive notifications from the system, take the action. And if you're not able to take the action right away, again, setting that time for yourself, that reminder to check into those actionable items in Real Satisfied will again help you be successful at the end of the year. Another friendly reminder, with all the resources and more information about Real Satisfied, you can go on to 21 Online, go to menu, go to work with clients, Real Satisfied /quality survey, it's quality service, and you can find that information there. And for support, we do have 2 email addresses, the awards one, which is the c21.awards@century21.com. Anything awards related, our master's program, our Centurion program, presidents, our rankings, our reports, please feel free to send an email there. Lori Levy, who's my director, and myself manage that inbox, as well as the c21.qss@century21.com for anything quality service and Real Satisfied. You can reach us there. And if you haven't joined us already on Workplace, on the awards and recognition page, we are constantly always, updating on a monthly basis what the deadlines are, best practices. And then we also like to see what our network is doing in the award space. I love to see, celebrations, within the office. And at the same time, you could be inspired by other offices to see what you can do and incorporate into your own culture of your office for recognition. So with that, Dana, I'm going to kick it back over to you. I'll open it up to any questions, any comments, or anything that needs to be reviewed. I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you. You're
Sure.
so awesome.
Thank you.
I have one question. You mentioned Moxie. I
Yes.
wrote this down at the beginning, and I'm just wanting to revisit that because I did hear that these testimonials can automatically show up in somebody's Moxie present listing presentation and on their website, adding to your website. So
Mhm.
that
So this is so I worked with Deanna Leotard on getting the step-by-steps from Moxie on how it is that we can incorporate Real Satisfied testimonials to your website. So at this time, this is the only reference that I have or document that I have that will give you step-by-step instructions on how to navigate through that and adding those testimonials to your Real Satisfied, I'm sorry, to your Moxie agent site.
And
Platform.
so, okay, so I can dig into a little bit more if there's a way to put it in their Moxie present outside of manually every time, like uploading a new
Gotcha.
page. But for the website, if this widget is created, are they going to automatically populate there as there's new ones that come in?
That's a good question. I'll have to get back to you on that to get clarification if it is. I want to say that once you set it up, it's set up.
Yeah.
Because that would be the reason why you want to set it up, but I don't want to assume anything. So let me get clarification from the team and I can get back to you on that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Does anybody else have any questions on anything for Lexi?
I have one other quick question.
Sure.
So I have a seller that has multiple properties, but it's not a builder or anything. They just have 2 properties.
Sure.
If I sell one and set the survey up for the husband and then sell the other and set the survey up for the wife, would that get flagged or would that work, do you think?
No, that should work as long as they each have a unique email address to themselves. That
Yeah.
should work. That I don't think in that scenario it will get quarantined. The scenario that it would get quarantined is if, the same seller for the 2 properties are sent the same, are sent a survey for each property and they're both completed. They just want to make sure that it's an accurate information. And that's why they'll flag it and quarantine it. But again, shouldn't be deemed that it's negative. It's just an extra precaution, an extra check to just make sure that they're validating the information is correct.
Thank you.
Sure.
If there are no more questions, we will say thank you so much to you, Lexi. This has been
Sure.
super helpful and informative. And you guys can reach out to the QSS email if there's questions, or reach out to me, because then, maybe we could figure it out together like Lynn and I miraculously did with her pop-up blockers today. Or if we need to, we can always reach out to Lexi too. But really, thank you so much. The information of how it has helped agents grow their business was shocking to me. Like that
Yeah.
151% growth by just really utilizing the surveys is pretty amazing. So
Absolutely.
we appreciate you and your time, Lexi.
Sure. Sure. It's my pleasure. And again, best wishes for the remainder of the year. I'm here to serve whatever you guys need. And hopefully I see you guys at a upcoming national event like leadership and top agent are coming up. So hopefully I get to see you guys there. But always a
Awesome.
pleasure, Dana. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
bye.